They mocked me when I was at my weakest. A stranger's kindness saved my life. There was a time in my life when I had reached the lowest peak I thought a person could reach. My parents passed away while I was still in college, one after the other. Grief doesn't pause tuition, it doesn't pause rent either. Within months, I was behind on payments. Then I was evicted. I remember standing on the sidewalk with 2 suitcases and nowhere to go. That's when my friend's mother, Grace, stepped in. She lived in an old mixed-use building on Maple and 8th, apartments upstairs, small businesses below. She let me sleep on her pull-out couch. No judgment, no pressure, just quiet kindness. I told myself it was temporary, but when you're grieving, broke, and barely holding yourself together, temporary feels endless. Then one night I got an email, an interview, entry-level corporate position, real company, real future. It felt like oxygen in a suffocating room. There was just one problem. I had nothing to wear. So the next morning, I went downstairs to the thrift store located on the ground floor of Grace's building. I found a navy blazer, a matching skirt, and simple heels. Not stylish, not trendy, just professional enough to say, I deserve a seat at the table. At the counter, the receptionist rang it up. I was short, by almost half. That's all I have, I told her quietly. I have an interview tomorrow. I really need this. I can bring everything back, keep the money, just consider it a rental. She stared at me. Then she laughed. Her friend standing beside her laughed louder. A rental? She repeated so others could hear. This isn't a costume shop. People in line looked at me. One man smirked. I felt stripped of dignity. She pushed the clothes aside. Next, I folded each piece carefully. I put them back exactly where I found them. I walked out trying to hold in tears because I still had to go back upstairs and face Grace. What I didn't realize was that someone else had witnessed everything. There was an older man who I have seen around was inside the store. He watched the entire exchange. He waited until I stepped out. Then he walked to the counter and purchased the exact outfit I couldn't afford. He rushed outside after me. Miss! I turned around. He held out the bag. You forgot this. I can't take that, I said immediately. It's too much. He smiled gently, like what he was doing wasn't heroic at all. Tomorrow is important, he said. Good luck with your interview. I hugged him. I asked his name. George, he said. I work as a janitor here at the building and saw you move in last month. The next morning, I wore those clothes into my interview, and I got the job. Years passed. That entry-level position turned into promotions. Promotions turned into leadership roles. I worked relentlessly. I learned every corner of the business. I invested wisely. Eventually, I built enough equity to acquire assets of my own. Over time, those assets became companies. Those companies became holdings. One day, I became the majority owner of a conglomerate managing hundreds of properties across the city. Years later, on a Monday afternoon, I was visiting my old friend Grace in that same building on Maple and 8th, the building where I once slept on her couch, where the thrift store still operated downstairs. Grace was older now. We were sitting in her small living room when we heard shouting from the lobby below. I excused myself and went downstairs. You've become a liability! A property manager was yelling. I froze. Standing in front of him was George, older, thinner, his posture slightly bent with age. You dropped the supply bags again, the manager snapped. That's the last straw. You're fired. And you'll pay for the damages from this month. I have the full bill. It's more than your salary. You're on contract, no pension. I owe you nothing. I've worked here for over 20 years, George said calmly. I've helped every tenant and business in this building. The manager shoved him toward the door. Get out of my face. I stepped forward. Your name, I said evenly. And your badge number. The manager immediately softened, assuming I was just a visitor. No need to worry, ma'am. We're going to clean up this mess promptly. I asked for your name. He gave it reluctantly. I looked him straight in the eye. My name is Andrea H. Smith. I'm the new owner and CEO of HDD Holdings. The silence in the lobby was immediate. Your behavior toward Mr. George is unacceptable. I held George's hand and walked into the manager's office. I sat on the manager's desk and said to him, You're terminated, effective immediately. Security escorted him out. George looked confused. How do you know my name? He asked. I'm not wearing my tag today. He wasn't, but I didn't need one. Years ago I said you bought a young woman a complete business attire so she could attend a job interview. His eyes widened slowly. I told him everything. The eviction, Grace's couch, the thrift store humiliation, the laughter, the bag of clothes, everything. His voice trembled. You remembered. I never forgot. That wasn't just kindness, that was the reason I survived that year. I offered him full retirement with pension and compensation. He refused. I don't want to stop working, he said. I just don't want to be treated like I'm disposable. So I promoted him to building manager, full benefits, stability, authority. At his request, we hired Grace's granddaughter, who lived nearby, as concierge to assist him in managing the building. The culture of that building changed. Respect replaced fear, because kindness doesn't expire. It circulates. And sometimes the smallest sacrifice becomes the foundation of someone else's future. What would you have done in that thrift store? Do you believe kindness truly comes back around? Drop your thoughts in the comments, like this story if it moved you, and subscribe for more stories like this.